Welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Josh Taylor in tonight for Rich Walsh, joined by Gene Collier. And as always, the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, Pittsburgh's #1 exterior expert in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters. We're taking your phone calls on the Borders and Borders hotline, 412-575-2600. Also taking your tweets at Josh Taylor HD. We've been talking Penguins. We haven't talked about the NHL draft tonight, Gene. Of course, the Penguins don't have a #1 pick. They don't pick until the second round. 53rd overall is the pick that they hold at the moment. They used their first-round pick in the trade for Derek Brassard at the trade deadline, so that's why they don't have that one there. But we also know that during the NHL draft, that's when some trains can happen. That's when some pieces can move from place to place. Brooks Orpik has already been moved in a trade this evening with the Capitals, so we know that there's some things that can happen. In your opinion, do you expect to see any movement from the Penguins and Jim Rutherford between now and by the end of the night tomorrow?
You know, Josh, Jim Rutherford is always looking to do something rather than nothing. He's pretty shrewd at, what he ultimately gets done. But I don't see the Penguins with a ton of needs. We had a call last night where someone suggested that with the exception of Malkin and Crosby, everyone is expendable. I think that's probably true, but I don't expect a major turnover on the roster, do you?
I would probably agree with that to the extent of Patrick Hornqvist with that new contract extension. I think he probably is in that group of 3 guys that's probably not expendable. I imagine that they wouldn't want to move him right now, especially with the discount that I think they're getting, because if he hits the open market, he probably could have made a lot more money. And this is a guy who's pretty much, if he plays 60-plus games in a season, he's 20-plus goals guaranteed. Pretty much you can stamp it. And that's been the pattern throughout the course of his career.
There's where to go out there.
Yeah, and he's a guy that you need, and they love not only the scoring ability, but they also love the energy that they talk about. Mike Sullivan always talks about the energy that Hornqvist brings when he's on that bench. So that's something that's definitely important. We're going to go to the phone lines here, 412-575-2600 on the Borders and Borders hotline. We will start with Rick in Newcastle. Rick, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Go ahead, Rick.
Hello, Rick.
Josh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was calling about Clint Hurdle and his motivating the Pirates.
Okay.
I was thinking they could replace him with Michael McHenry. That kid's a motivator. They need somebody young like him.
He might be the most positive person associated with that team. I'll tell you that much. And if you even run into Michael McHenry, and Gene, I don't know if you've done this, but during the course of the day, just when we're kind of moving around the building, getting our jobs done, you might see Michael McHenry kind of in the bowels of PNC Park. And usually when you see him, you say hello, he's smiling.
Yeah.
He's smiling, he's laughing with somebody, he's joking. He's just super positive. I mean,
yeah, nice guy. He was good that way as a player. Even though he wasn't a terribly accomplished player, he was a very serviceable major league player and catcher, and he understood the kind of ebb and flow of the emotions of the game. But you're right, he was always upbeat. I
mean, I wouldn't probably peg him as the next manager right away. Wouldn't be a bad guy in the coaching staff, though, maybe.
Who knows what he even wants to do. But as I've said before on this show, and I think you'll agree, Josh, I mean, if the Pirates have 50 problems, Clint Hurdle is not among them.
I would have to agree with that. I would totally have to agree with that. And that I think some of that comes with, we were just talking about this, the guys who haven't met expectations. I can't place that on the manager. I can't place Josh Bell having only 4 home runs on Clint Hurdle. I can't place Gregory Polanco pretty much disappearing after the 3rd week of April on Clint Hurdle. I can't place Corey Dickerson's month of June and the latter part of May on Clint Hurdle. I can't blame that on him, because those are the guys that he's trotting out there at least the majority of the time and counting on those guys. And Polanco probably given a couple opportunities too many. Some might argue that Josh Bell's gotten a couple opportunities too many. So it's hard for me to say that Clint Hurdle's the reason why these guys are performing. And I take that a step further. Ivan Nova's injury, I can't blame that on him. I can't blame Jamison Tyone and at least his struggles in the first month of the season, but he seems to have figured things out. So when you only have limited options, I mean, you used to hear Jimmy Johnson talking about, trying to make a dinner, but, he's not buying the groceries. So, sometimes you got to look at the food that's in the cupboard and go from there, Gene.
Right. No, well said, well said. I mean, we get a lot of calls to that extent that, when the Pirates don't win, they don't look motivated. But, well, here we are again. We mentioned this on the show, too. Pirates 36-0, Hurdle 0-38.
We are in the top of the 13th right now. This game is still tied at 1. Diamondbacks have a runner on with 1 out. We will go back to the phone lines. Let's go to Karen in Washington. Karen, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Go ahead, Karen.
Hello, Karen.
Yes.
How are you?
Okay.
You're on the air.
What you got for us?
The National Hockey Awards were on the other night.
Okay.
and there were no Penguins in the audience.
Is that right?
Okay, so what's your question?
I wanted to know why.
Simple answer. Were any nominated, Gene? I don't think any were nominated.
I don't know. I don't pay much attention to the awards or
think
who
any were
goes.
nominated.
I mean, Karen might be right.
I don't recall any being nominated. There weren't the reigning Stanley Cup champion like they were the past couple of years, so there's not as much of an incentive for them to be there.
Yeah, I don't know if it says much either way, does it?
I don't know if it does either. Honestly, it's just probably one of those things. It's a year when they're not the reigning champions and no one got nominated for awards. And, I mean, you might expect a Sidney Crosby to be there, but if there's really no incentive for him to be there, if there's nothing they want him to specifically do, it doesn't surprise me that much at all. I don't know about you, Gene.
No, I'm not surprised.
So I wouldn't worry that much about it, Karen. I think everything's just fine. Just let's just, for your sake, just worry that they all come back healthy and ready to play next year. They rest up for this summer and they're ready to go. We will take one more call before we go to a break. Let's go to Bob in Indiana. Bob, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Take my call.
Appreciate you.
Couple points. Freeze and Bell have looked horrible, not just tonight, but the last week or so with their hitting. Awful. I don't know what's going on with them, but when they come up to bat, it's just you might as well just set them down because they're swinging at I don't know what. Second point, tonight, whenever Polanco had that pop-up and dropped in, he again lollygagged. He took a couple steps, kind of like shaloned down to first base to realize the ball dropped. He could have been on second base because of his non-lack of hustle. And the third thing, I don't understand why Clint Hurdle took out Nova after a 4-pitch inning. He had 87 pitches. He should let him go in for the ninth, especially the way they've had struggled with their bullpen. I'm going to hang up and hear what you have to say about that. Thank you.
Appreciate the call. As far as Nova was concerned, remember, this is a guy just coming off the DL. I think he went 5 1/3 in that first start and 6 in the second start. This is probably his longest start of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he had a 9-inning start, but I wouldn't swear to it. I mean,
close to it.
I can sort of agree with this if that's what the pitch count was, 87. I wasn't watching at that point.
And just coming off the DL, he missed some time, so you don't want to burn him out too soon. That would be my assessment.
And the Polanco play I didn't see. I mean, if you expect me to believe that Gregory Polanco didn't run hard on some certain occasion, I believe it.
I will say this much. For what Gregory Polanco has in talent and maybe natural strength and just God-gifted ability, he might lack a little bit in instinct. I think that would be a fair thing to say.
I haven't seen many outfielders, again, with all respect to his abilities, but I haven't seen many outfielders on which I've seen so many instances, Josh, where he gets 0 jump on a fly ball. I mean, that ball be in the air a second, a full second before you see him move after it sometimes. And I think that goes directly to the term you used, which is instinct, and I think that's correct.
I think when you look at guys like Meadows and Marte, who both have made great plays tonight, by the way, defensively in this game, you see how they react to balls and you see how Polanco reacts, and it really is night and day, and understanding just how those two different subsets do react within the outfield. Got to take another break. We come back, we'll take more phone calls and more tweets. Plus, we will have our sizzling shot. We'll have it when we come back. Stick around.